One early morning, before the city's lights had fully faded and long before anyone on the streets had begun to stir, there was a moment. A stillness so absolute that even a stray piece of litter drifting across the pavement would register as movement. In that quiet existed a single figure leaning over a trash container. He was dressed in worn, mismatched clothes. Dirt coated his face and hands. His hair was unkempt. One glance at him, and most observers would think, homeless. But beneath that appearance lay a man who had built rockets, electric cars, brain-computer interfaces, billion-dollar ventures. That man was Elon Musk. He had decided, quite deliberately, to step out of every realm of privilege and live for a time with none of the trappings people assume go with his name. A year earlier, in a televised interview, he spoke of wanting people to believe in his ideas, not his money. He posed the question, if all his wealth, influence, homes, and identities were stripped away, would his ideas still hold value? Some laughed at such a notion. But Elon was serious. In the weeks that followed, he sold his multiple luxurious homes, parted ways with his personal drivers, chefs, security team. He deactivated his public presence and vanished from the public eye without fanfare, as though he simply stepped out of one chapter of life and into another, titled An Experiment. He surfaced in an abandoned industrial zone on the edge of a city. There, quietly, he placed a small gray shipping container, a makeshift home small enough to fit a single bed, a desk, a gas burner, a few essential shelving compartments. And he installed a discreet camera. Its purpose was not to broadcast, but to document. He lived there with nothing but basic necessities, no electricity grid, no water supply except perhaps a rudimentary tank or cooler, no insulation, barely a lock on the door. Everything about that container said, minimalism, absence, invisibility. On his first morning outside, he walked to a small corner market. When he approached the cashier, the woman glanced at his worn clothes and dirty hands and said sharply without making eye contact, "You can't be in here looking like that. Security will escort you out." He simply nodded and left. He did not ask questions or offer identification or explanation. He just walked away. The next day, he entered a cafe. A barista hurried over, grabbed his menu. "If you're not buying anything, you can't sit here." He refused to order, and they escorted him to the door. On a third morning, he sat on a park bench. Within minutes, a police officer approached, asked for ID, then told him he couldn't lie down there. Each time he showed mild surprise, never cause for arrest, but enough discomfort to remind him that he belonged outside polite society's perimeters. No one thought to ask who he really was. No one expected he might be important, because he looked like a man who had nothing. Over the next weeks, he endured dozens of such encounters, dismissed at stores, ignored in restaurants, removed from public spaces, scorned by passers-by, asked to move, told to look presentable. All the while, the camera in his container recorded every word, every glance. He also took notes, pain taken not to correct or lecture, but simply to observe human behavior when faced with presumed poverty. Then, on a fourth week, a cluster of university students walked past. One of them briefly looked and murmured to his friends, "That guy looks kind of like Elon Musk." His friends laughed. Another pulled out a $10 bill and offered it. "Here, man, get yourself something hot to drink." Elon lifted his head, maintaining composure. He accepted the bill, made eye contact, and said quietly, "Thank you." But it's not about the money. It's about how people treat someone they assume has nothing. The group laughed, said something sarcastic, and moved on. But record kept running. The encounter was part of the experiment. They assumed it would be forgotten within seconds. They did not know that overnight, a massive sign would appear at the university entrance. "To those who judge by appearance, this message is for you." The next moment, a video appeared online. The container door opened. A man walked out, took a breath, faced the camera, and said calmly, "My name is Elon Musk, and what you have witnessed over the past weeks was entirely real." For a moment, the internet paused. People questioned how, when, why. Comments flooded in, disbelief, curiosity, shame. Elon published the footage as a documentary titled The Humanity Test. Within 24 hours, it reached tens of millions. By the end of the first week, well over 50 million had seen it. Over the next 30 days, the view count soared past 100 million. But beyond the viral numbers lay the real core of the story. When the filming finally came to an end, after weeks of enduring the harsh reality of being seen as nothing more than a homeless man, Elon Musk set out to find the young college student who had once handed him that $10 bill. The gesture had seemed insignificant at the time, a small, almost mocking act by someone who thought he was just another vagrant. But to Elon, it was a moment loaded with meaning, a reflection of how people perceive value and worth based purely on appearances. Now, having revealed the truth behind his experiment, Elon wanted to confront that moment and the person behind it. He tracked down the student with surprising ease. It wasn't difficult. The video had gone viral, the university was abuzz, and the student's friends had already recognized him from the clips. When Elon approached, the young man was standing several feet away, seemingly unsure of how to react. His eyes were downcast, filled with a mixture of embarrassment, guilt, and confusion. For a moment, neither spoke. The weight of the situation hung heavy between them. Finally, the student broke the silence. His voice was low, barely audible, but laced with genuine remorse. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't realize it was you. I thought you were just another homeless guy, and I didn't mean to be disrespectful." There was a vulnerability in his tone, a recognition of a mistake, and an earnest desire to make amends. Elon smiled softly, a gesture that conveyed understanding rather than judgment. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a plain white envelope. Without a word, he extended it toward the young man. The student hesitated, then took it with trembling hands. Inside was a check, a sizable one, for $100,000. Alongside it was a handwritten note, elegantly penned in simple, poised handwriting. The note read, "Mistakes are human. Admitting them takes courage. That courage is priceless, and it comes from within you." The young man's eyes welled up with tears, his earlier bravado replaced by profound gratitude and humility. It was a transformative moment, not just a financial gift, but a lesson in empathy, integrity, and the true measure of worth. But Elon's actions did not end there. He chose not to announce this encounter to the media. There were no press conferences, no social media posts flaunting the act of kindness. He retreated quietly from the public eye once more, leaving behind a simple but powerful message. Real wealth isn't about the possessions you accumulate, but about what you're willing to give up. True character is not revealed under the glare of spotlights, but in the quiet moments when no one is watching. The global economy may fixate on bank balances and stock portfolios, but Elon reminded the world that empathy, humility, and dignity live in everyday choices, in how we treat strangers, how we react to those society has forgotten, and how we reflect on our own biases. Returning to his container, Elon closed the door softly behind him, symbolizing a temporary withdrawal from the chaos of fame and fortune. It was not an escape, but a continuation of the experiment, a personal journey toward understanding humanity through the lens of vulnerability and invisibility. This story transcended the boundaries of a simple viral video or a shocking photograph. It became a mirror reflecting collective assumptions and fears, kindness and neglect. The man who appeared to have nothing, ragged, overlooked, invisible, held within him everything that truly mattered. It was not money or status that defined him, but integrity, reflection, and transformation. For many viewers around the world, the story sparked a deep introspection. How often do we judge people by their appearance without understanding their story? How quickly do we dismiss others as insignificant because of their clothes, their circumstances, or their silence? Elon's experiment exposed these uncomfortable truths, challenging us to reconsider our perceptions and to embrace compassion as a fundamental human value. And for those who had followed the story to its end, it was more than just a narrative. It was a call to action, to look beyond the surface, to question assumptions, and to recognize the profound dignity in every individual, regardless of how society labels them. If you've made it to the end of this story, you're now part of this journey. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's meet again here for the next extraordinary story.